молочный, винно-водочный комбинат. 6 секунд у нас на переход такой широкой дороги. Мы еще ни разу не успели, даже бегом.
And still we were in the Soviet Union. We got the permission from the Soviets. It was very difficult to get that permission because the Soviets were controlling everything. Yeah, there took place big demonstrations organized by the Armenian students of the State University of Yerevan, and after all, the Soviets just gave us the permission, and within 2 years, the memorial that consists of 3 parts was constructed. So the stele that we see has certain similarity with the mountain Ararat. Yeah, it has 2 peaks like the mountain Ararat. Have you ever seen that during these days? Mountain peaks. So you know it consists of 2 peaks. Okay, so also it symbolizes the 2 Armenias, the Western Armenia and the Eastern Armenia, though they are connected but still continue, though they are separated, still continue being together like the 2 parts. The round part of the memorial is where the eternal flame is located. And the 100-meter lamentation wall that bears the names of the cities and the towns where the massacres of the Armenian genocide took place. Speaking about the Armenian genocide, we always mention all over the world 1915, and no one knows that it started long before the 20th century. Why the Armenian genocide took place and how it was carried out. To start with, to give you the real background of the information, I need to go back to the 17th century, when the historical big Armenia was divided between Ottoman Empire and the Persia. Okay, so the big Armenia that was 10 times bigger than nowadays Armenia, occupying 300,000 square kilometers, was divided between these 2 big and important and powerful countries. That's why we have Western Armenia and we have Eastern Armenia. Nowadays Republic is just one part of the Eastern Armenia, not totally, okay? The genocide took place only in the Western Armenia, within the Ottoman Empire. In the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire that occupied Western Armenia, Greece, the Balkans, it was such a big country, right? Already became a very weak country, and the government of the Sultan, let's say the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, was seeing that the Sultanate was becoming weaker, and this is the moment when the Armenians that were living in the Ottoman Empire wanted the Armenian question to be resolved, to be solved, the Armenian question that was give the Armenian population that we have an estimated number of 2 million Armenians living in the Western Armenia, in the Ottoman Empire. They wanted to have freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of, participation in the parliament. They wanted autonomy in their homeland. So this is how the Armenian question rises, and the Armenian question became like a toy in the hands of the big important European countries to suppress Turkey. Every time Turkey wanted to do something, the European countries would say, you must solve first the Armenian question. So Armenian question for the Ottomans, for the sultans, became a nightmare, and they decided if there are no Armenians, there will be no Armenian question. And they found their way of resolving the Armenian question. In 1894, Sultan Abdul Hamid II started the massacres of the Armenians. That took 2 years, and he took 300,000 people's life within these 2 years. That's very important to understand that different governments of Turkey are the following of the same ideology: to construct the Great Turan, to Turkify the whole country that would extend from Bosphorus to Altai until China, and to realize their centrally desire to have common border with nowadays Azerbaijan, and from there all the stans begin, and it's all Turkic origin people, Islamic people, to realize this desire. There was Armenia, the biggest obstacle, and of course Russia, that would never permit this happen, because it would be a nightmare for the whole Europe and Russia and the whole world. In 1904, I'm trying to make it short. That's why I'm filtering a lot of information. In 1908, in the backward country of the Sultanate of Turkey, there takes place the revolution of the Young Turks. Young Turks that were represented by the political party of Committee of Union and Progress, were telling fairy tales to the ethnic minorities of the Ottoman Empire, saying them that they will have the same rights, they will be considered same social class as the Turks, because to the Armenians, Greeks, Assyrians, they were considering people gabur, non-believers, people of second class. Although the Armenians were representing really the elite of the Ottoman Empire, because the Armenian community was educated, the children of the Armenians would go to get their education in European universities, and then they would come back, and within several decades the Armenian population became very rich, and a lot of money, they had a lot of money. So, believing to the words of the Young Turks, the Armenian community helped the Young Turks to realize the revolution. The revolution took place, interestingly enough, on the 24th of April. That is the commemoration day of the Armenian genocide of 1908. After that, a year after that, the massacres of Adana took place, that were masterminded by the Young Turks, and another 30,000 Armenians were killed. It was more than clear that the Young Turks also were carrying out their plan of solution of the Armenian question. So as we opened the archives, we found that in 1911 in Thessaloniki, nowadays Greece, there took place secret meeting of the Young Turks that perpetrated and organized the annihilation of the Armenian population from the Ottoman Empire. And the first chance to realize this plan didn't take long, and in 1914 the First World War erupted. It was the perfect chance, opportunity to carry out this plan. So genocide was carried out by 5 stages. We have like 5 stages of genocide. The first one is when they called all the Armenian men from 18 to 65 years old from Western Armenia. Of course, this Armenia had nothing to do 1815, 24th of April, when 800 intellectuals, Armenians, were stopped and arrested in Constantinople. And of course, 400 clergymen were arrested, killed, deported to the deserts of Mesopotamia, nowadays Syria. This is the second stage, and this we consider the culmination. Why? Because the elite class, the members of parliament, politicians, writers, composers, the people that could realize the leadership of the community were killed and arrested. There were left only women, elderly people, and children with no protection. The third stage was the annihilation of these people from their historic land, from their villages. So they were exiled to the depths of Mesopotamia. I am not going to describe the different ways of killings that were utilized towards these people without protection. So the third stage is the elimination, is the exile of the remaining population. The fourth stage of the Armenian genocide is the cultural genocide. As a lot of Armenian churches, monasteries were just destroyed or taken from the Turkish and Kurdish population and converted into mosques or stables, or just they live inside, and people that have very low cultural values destroy the Armenian culture remaining in the Western Armenia.
Вот это 2007, это, видимо, когда происходили нападения, вот, 904-2007. Вот здесь то же самое, 1912-2008. Верхняя фотография на век старше, чем нижняя.
Понятно. 100 лет разницы.
100 лет разницы, да. 100 этих мест.
Вот, церковь
Церковь
тоже
великолепная. Вот видишь, Лиза, какой был целый комплекс. А осталось, вот, получается, вот только вот это. Все остальное было разрушено. Хорошо, Лизонька, хорошо, малышка. Вот это великолепное строение.
Это в мечеть переделали вообще.
The fifth stage of the Armenian genocide is the absolute negation of its happening, of genocide. Indeed, what the word genocide means. It was first used by Raphael Lemkin, a Jewish Polish, that used the word to describe the actions of the Nazis towards the Jewish community. Yes, they are living there, describing it genocides, that means to kill a group of people with one aim, that is to put an end to their collective existence. That is to say, during the war, if a lot of people die, it's not a genocide. If you are killing a group of people with the aim to put an end to their collective existence because they belong to a certain race, certain nation, or certain religion, that makes this crime a genocide, which was first described as a crime against humanity. Of course, when Raphael Lemkin used the word, it had just a descriptive meaning. It didn't have this legal power, yes, in the verdict. In the verdict he used it. So genocide makes the crime of killing people a state crime, because to realize genocide, only a state has all this, access to all sectors, yes? That's why it's a state crime. That's why nowadays, of course, 28 countries recognize the Armenian genocide, but of course not Turkey. I don't think that nowadays government of Turkey will ever recognize it, or the following ones, because I am not of that high opinion about them, and I never try to hide it. And just as a young person from Armenia, I'm also descendant of Armenian genocide. We will always remember that. I mean, it comes with genes, and it is always painful for us to speak about the Armenian genocide and to, remember all that our grandparents would tell us. But now we understand we are in the 21st century. It happened, but our best answer to Turkey is that they failed. Here we are, not only in Armenia, but also in a lot of countries all over the world. I'm so proud always to hear from my tourists that, oh, I have an Armenian friend. This shows that Armenians are scattered all over the world, and their plan was they failed. Here we are, we remember. And now, what is the action of Armenia to stop the genocides that are taking place nowadays? Aurora Prize will be held in a week in Armenia. It is a prize that was founded by Armenian benefactors, Nubarafeyan and Ruben Vartanyan, rich Armenians from Russia and from the US, that are paying $1 million to the hero of Aurora Prize. That is to say, from all over the world. So the nominees, within the nominees of this year, we have an Indian, I think that is carrying out humanitarian projects and helping people. So this is to show that at certain moments, Armenia got help